Welcome to Presence Dialogues, and I'm your host, Joe Diamo. A Presence Dialogue is an approach to communication in which participants tune in to a frequency of consciousness beyond the personal level with the accent on the novelty of the present moment. We tap into a field in which we are at best conduits for the deeper intuitive intelligence of the heart. Our topic for exploration today is what are the obstacles to love? And my guest is Marilyn Rice. Hi, Marilyn.
Hey, Joe.
So, the topic implies to me that the reality of the fact that the heart or love is already there, and that the only thing that prevents us from tapping into it and being led by it is are obstacles to that, since it's already there. So if it's already there, what in this moment, what, if anything, in this moment is preventing or obscuring or lessening the actual radiation, if you will, of the heart?
One thing that I feel is very obvious, that we both know that we wanted to be very spontaneous when we were speaking, and we've actually worked it for the past, but just in casual encounters during the day, and I feel at this moment very fortified by that preparation. And it's very clear to me at this moment that the only thing standing in the way, and the only thing really that I have to give up, is having a past. Like, if I allow any memory or anything that is not now in its gorgeous fullness, love is not there. And I actually am quite astounded at how I can even speak and at the same time feel that I'm in the flow of this amazing frequency. And
The amazing frequency being the frequency of love?
yeah, I mean, I guess I would call it that, because it's, I couldn't call it anything else. It's love with the gratitude, with the safety, with the feeling of well-being and allowing. It's
These are what you're experiencing right now?
absolutely.
And these you're identifying as the frequency of love, or part of.
Call it Sam, but it's, I would say that most people would agree on the word love.
Well, I mean, to talk, about, or to dispute about the word, but if we're talking about it, we should precise in experience, rather than this being a philosophical dialogue.
Absolutely.
About what the nature of love is, which is fine, but what we're attempting in these dialogues is to have a palpable experience of something and speak from that,
Right.
and of and about that, and of that.
And how do you feel now? Is it possible? Do you feel that's where you're coming from?
As
I'm being a provocateur.
It's okay. As I observe myself speaking right now, and sitting here, I can feel things coming in to my consciousness that aren't necessarily in harmony with the love frequency. And when I just let go and deeply listen to myself and to you, those obstacles temporarily, those things, those obstructions or possible obstructions are attenuated and disappear as I'm speaking, as I'm focusing in this way. It seems to me that focus is essential to love.
And as you were just sharing this with me, the moment you said, well, I can see that there's certain things perhaps at the moment that aren't harmonious with the vibration of love, I can see that there was choice for me. Do I follow that in the end, or do I stay open? And in staying open, I felt myself carried along by your effort that would keep me in that open space. So I feel that our inner life is not really private. If one of us is spacious, it's a tremendous aid to the one that's in front of us, and maybe even to in a much greater field, who knows. I am kind of astounded also throughout this day when we've been kind of practicing this, that it's really sometime enough if one person stays in that frequency, that it lights up the other person.
So what I'm getting strongly from what you're saying is that it seems that we're talking about love as a field. It's like a field, and it's something that's present, and that awareness has to. The faculty of awareness seems to me to be essential in that experience. Like, because if the mind is involved in past memories and so on, and future planning, then that love energy, gets obscured. I won't say it goes away, because it may never go away, but it goes away from our experience. So that consciousness or focus, awareness, and love seem intimately connected, the kind of love we're talking about, non-conceptual love.
Right. Just to explore this, I'm going to put out some words, and let's feel the word that I'm saying, because it's interesting. You said that you feel love is a field. I'm going to say the word field. Let's go into it.
Field immediately gives me a feeling of openness or vastness, or a larger context.
And if I say state, love is a state, what is that?
That gives me a sense of consistency. State being not something fluctuating, but just like, I think of the Sufi states and stages. There are states and stations. They talk about states are momentary or temporary insights, or maybe illumination, from a higher consciousness or from another state of consciousness. Whereas stations are what are consistent. We make our consciousness in the higher frequency consistent in our life, and that seems like it takes real work. I mean, I could see how revelations can happen spontaneously, and even in the presence of a teacher, because an energy is tuned into that opens one temporarily, but then to maintain that, and not only to maintain it, but to integrate it into one's life, so that one in general lives on a higher, more expanded, loving, intuitive state.
So if we can now be still and know, and just take a moment what is a vibrational frequency of love?
What is it experienced as?
I mean, it's something that we use the term, or we hear the term, the vibrational frequency of love. Let's just take a moment and be still and come from see if it's possible to share from that. Very apparent to me is the sense of not being alone, of not doing this by this small person, and it's feeling absolutely magnifies the joy of feeling that I'm not going this alone. That there is a support here.
So is there something in the nature of that love that is by its very nature participatory?
I'm not sure I mean, what it feels like there is something that moves this person that is much bigger than this person. And to be participatory is simply to allow it to participate.
What I meant,
Yeah.
that's good, I like that. I mean, I relate to that. What I meant was that you're not alone, right? And I mean, and then we're sharing the frequency. I mean, is it a relational activity?
You know, it's not really. It's not like I feel little angels on my shoulders or beautiful entities all around. It's like just the sense of oneness being so much greater than this little thing that is moving its hand and looking out with eyes that have limited, everything is much more expanded. And
So it seems that it doesn't seem, by its very nature, it doesn't exclude anything. Because if it's oneness, then it includes everything.
by its nature, it cannot exclude. The moment something is excluded or if something is resisted or if there's an against, it's already not that thing. It's I love this because I just love what's happening now because I feel we both jumped in.
I feel that too. It's kind of funny in a way, or joyful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's a moment where there's no fear of parrying or having debate or having to explain because we're swimming in the same substance, whatever that is. And it's really moment to moment.
It can change on the drop of a hat.
Absolutely.
That's the part where I was saying before about stations, or the Sufis say. That's the important thing. That's the work to maintain it, to cultivate it, so that one is almost effortlessly in that space from moment to moment.
Do you know, it just came up, like, tell me the end of the phrase, since you're the genius with, when two or more come together in my name.
There I am in their midst. In esoteric Christianity, Christ is the I that is we. And it's the love frequency, among other things. I mean, it's everything.
I'm feeling it like as something so much bigger than my small perception of my body. Like it's just totally a different, inhabiting a different space. And what a gift.
That might be a place to stop at this moment. We want to keep it relatively
Yeah.
short, and then we can continue it because it's an ongoing topic, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah, right.
exploration.
Just wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if we get to a love frequency and then we can just stop it and put it in a bottle? You know?
Right. We can't do that, but we can stop
I think that's brilliant.
and thank people for listening and participating, because
Yeah.
what we're attempting to do, I and others are attempting to do with these presence dialogues. One thing is to include the people who are watching these, and as a spiritual exercise, as we're doing it, as a spiritual exercise, to pay attention, to be in the present, to watch things arise, to not get caught in that, to stay present, stay with it, and to expand into that state. We could call love, love and consciousness, light, frequency, and learn to maintain that in our lives, to create that station of consciousness, like the Sufis say. So for Presence Dialogues, I want to thank you, and I want to thank you, Marilyn Rice, again.
Thank you.
And stay
Thank you.
tuned for further adventures in consciousness, and practice. And this is what we want to cultivate, because most of the time we're in dialogue in some way with our environment by the very nature of life. And if we can learn to be in presence and meditational state of mind, within that to me is where the real work, the hardest work anyway, of the spiritual path, so-called spiritual path, is. Thank you again from Presence Dialogues.